Today I'm meeting with my friend Simon for tea, to dive into the paradox of being both broken and whole, and how healing on the spiritual path isn't a destination, but a constant journey. To start our conversation, I asked Simon, when do we start living and stop healing?
Yeah. I think the paradox is that it's both true, that you're always healing and you're always living. Yeah. Because of course, every night we go to sleep, the body starts restoring itself. The body always tries to come back into balance. The liver, around 3 o'clock in the morning, is heavily pumping and working on detoxifying the body, and all day long the body's starting to restore itself. So of course, if we run into a traumatic situation during the day, it might process in our dreams at night. We're always healing, right? We're always coming back to whole. This is part of the human experience. In the path of awakening, we become aware of those deeper wounds that are sitting in the psyche, deep in the cellular memory. Those wounds can be from lifetimes. Wounds can stem from other dimensions. The wound can stem from this lifetime. And ironically, it's the very reason we came into this world. Is we came into this duality to be broken in order for us to heal again, because it feels good. It's like you wear tight shoes, you come home after a long day, you take them off, it feels again. So duality for me is all about going from unhealed to healed, right? Until we realize the game, and then we can move on to another mode of operation. So it's not to say that healing isn't real, but there's a real thing. Like my friend Glenn, who recently passed, he had a song, Addiction to Bliss, Addicted to Bliss. There is a real risk, especially in the healing realm, which has now become an industry. It's become a world. Famous healers, and musicians and artists, where we sort of blurring the line between true healers and people who are looking for popularity, and true healing that is offered, and true help, and then also commercializing everything. So it's become a true industry as well. And there's a real risk that people getting sort of temporarily stuck in the cycle of just hopping from one workshop to the other, because they're becoming addicted by the distraction and by the bliss that we can feel. At some point, the work is, of course, to ground that energy and to decide, like, I'm going to be in this world. I'm going to accept that this world is challenging for me. I'm going to accept that I'm a sensitive being in a desensitized world, but I'm going to be here. And part of the journey, and it's a journey coming back home. So we go on this healing journey, we go to these highs, and at some point we're coming back down, and it's kind of a saddening journey where we have to come to terms with the mundane. Sort of the mundane has to become enjoyable again. And that can be difficult, because when we go up into these higher healing realms, there's so much excitement there. This is interdimensional play, on these psychedelic journeys, with or without substances. You can access these states, and it's really exciting. And when we come back into this 3D realm, it can be a bit, oh, really? But then, for me anyway, I start to see the beauty in just the simplicity. I start to really ground and see the beauty, and I start to embrace the broken, and I start to even have it. And that might be the next stage of the healing journey. But then again, it's not linear. Of course, all of these things can move in cycles. So we can go through these healing cycles. It's like the hero's journey as well. It's a cycle. We might embark on several times in one life, because that one life is part of a greater cycle as well. So it can be difficult to grasp, because the mind is so linear. These things are whole cycles.
If one wants to step out of this drama of life, to step out of this narrative, lost in the narrative of life, how can one step out on that?
Yeah, it's really like, how do you drop a heavy bag with something? How do you take off your clothes? At some point, I feel it's not the how, it's just the knowing that it's imminent. Now it has to happen. What I'm trying to say is, I don't want to wrong the world, just because I know we can also transcend it. because we came here for it. But at some point, I feel like we're playing this game all the time. At some point, we get bored of the game, so we want to reach a higher level. So we master one level, we move to the next level. So the how would be to master the level. And the how of that, how to master the level, is to embrace life and play the game. But to not look down on someone who plays the game at an earlier level, or to say that there's anything wrong with the game. It's a game of duality, it's a game of dark and light. And we came here to play it. And once we know that, we just play it.
But even if you know it, you need to bring awareness to it. It's not a natural occurrence. There's some motion that you need to choose.
It needs to become natural.
Yes?
I think it's like that. I think it's probably a spark at some point that starts, or you start to realize it's happening. And then throughout over time, it will take a certain length of time, it becomes a natural state of being. Let's say if I'm triggered, if I'm emotional, I know it in every moment. And I let it, there's never a moment where I look back and I did something I really didn't mean. No. But there are moments where I allow myself, okay, a little drama. Come on, let's play the game. Let's be a little angry. And I allow that. Because I allow myself to shift into that place, and I know full well what it is. That's why I'm here. But it's not my ultimate truth. The awareness is always present for me. I believe that's going to be more the case for more and more people. So it becomes our natural state. Granted, still sometimes the mind gets, for me anyway, it's like the mind still gets hold of me sometimes. When I'm watching, all the minds got hold of me, and I know what to do. I know how to navigate myself through this. So I'm never lost again. Like, there's always a background. In my experience, there's always a background amount of peace and knowing, and I can never lose that. That's why I can never say things like, oh, if this person dies, I don't know what to do without them, or I wouldn't know what to do without this relationship. I have a deep knowing that I'll always be okay. And paradoxically, ironically, I can still experience grief, I will still experience pain. But always knowing that this is part of the game, and I just enjoy it for what it is. And it can still be real. The pain is still real. And it's not. And that's the paradox, I think, that we move into. It's both true. So you're not downplaying or spiritually bypassing the pain of this world. Because that's a real risk once you start to see that, well, ultimately this is all a game, this is all an illusion, that you become sort of hard, dismissive of people who experience pain and drama in their lives. Because it is real. And it's not. It's both truths. One doesn't exclude the other. The yin doesn't exclude the yang. It's both true. That's maybe difficult to grasp for the mind in and of itself, because it likes to choose between, okay, it's real and it's not real. It's actually all true.
In my journey, I make a distinction between feelings and emotions. I say emotions come from the mind, fear, anger, and feelings like grief, love, and joy is from the heart, which is more connected to the divine.
Right.
How do you relate to that?
Yeah.
Do you relate to that?
Yeah, I like that. I do know that especially grief is, we can't dismiss it as just a mental story. We can completely accept someone's death. And then we're going to move into grief. That might well be part of the journey. Our grief might well help the other person move on. So grieving for me is, for example, is hugely important. To never bypass the true feelings. It's like the weather. Sometimes it just has to rain. These things are important. So when we come into stillness and we sit together and we create the space of acceptance, connection, there might be certain feelings still in the space. And there may well be anger, or there may even be things like confusion, which is more mental. So when we're no longer making a big story out of it, we're just allowing it to be there and wash through us like an energy. For sure it's going to lead us to a better place. But I often feel it's the resistance to truly acknowledging what's felt in the body, and to go more to the story, like he did this to me. there's a danger in that. But if we just go, okay, so he did this to me, and what do I experience in my body? A lot of fire in my throat. All right, it's anger, it wants to be expressed. That usually leads us to a deeper embodied pain. Some call that the pain body. That's in the body, a collection of all trauma that's feeding there. And this situation that just happened is just a reflection of that trauma and the pain that's already there. Because what that man did to me is what my father used to do. And then we go directly to the source of the story and the source of the anger, which they usually leads us to actually more likely sadness. The anger was just a cover-up. Then we go directly there, and with our full consciousness, we are with that. Then it starts to shrink, to crumble, and we're no longer feeding it. Then it's just a raw emotion, and I don't watch. And I never feel drained. I never feel negatively affected by anyone who's willing to do that pure raw emotion. But I am often affected by the suppression of that pure raw emotion, by some politically correct cover-up of what it means to be a human within etiquettes, you know? Mm-hmm. And so again, the spaces I bring is to go directly for the feeling or the emotion, which might be it's just a raw energy that's washing through the body. And again, by just being a pure observer to it, not judging it, not belittling it, just letting it wash through us. For sure, it not only does it shrink or reduce itself, it actually gets transformed because its energy rise and gets transformed. So usually when we have a day and we start with that, the more pain there's present in that morning circle, the better, because we transmute it, the more joy we have in the afternoon. Because we transmute it into something else, usually joy and love, liberation. So it's like compost, which was undesirable at first. It looked like rubbish, and now it's feeding the next generation of life. So we see it as that. It's a blessing. And I brought tremendous amounts of darkness and heaviness into this world as a child. And I've been transmuting a lot of it, and I'm grateful for it because I feel it's giving me a lot of energy now to do what I do in the world. Mm-hmm. So embrace it, compost it. Compost this.
Nice words. Okay, Simon, perfect. Thank you for your time.
Complete. Now I felt like now we're